pen. That was his career high. Last year, some injuries along the way as Smith drives it deep left field. Back goes Azekar over his head and off the top of the wall. Down to third goes Hummel, and the umpire's now indicating home run. Cam Smith trots around the bases for the fourth time this spring.
Well, welcome into the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. That from Sports City Home Network, a home run, the fourth home run from Astros Uber prospect Cam Smith. You heard that again, courtesy of Sports City Home Network. So we're going to obviously today and welcome in Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. I am Brian McDonald, joined by not that Cam Smith, but another Cam Smith, one that I like almost as much as the other Cam Smith.
Almost
as much.
I'm almost there.
Almost there. Yeah, I don't know. See, the other Cam Smith's done more for me. He's hit 4 home runs. What have you done? How many home runs have you hit for me, Cam?
See,
you've hit none.
He's cooked food for you before.
Oh, that's true. You did make a shrimp taco. Okay, all right. So home runs, shrimp tacos. Some days I'd rather have the shrimp taco. We'll talk about that another time, though. Johnny Belmer, as you heard, back behind the glass with us, and we are the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. If you want to join in on the conversation, give us a call or a text on the HRP listener line, 713-780-3776. So, of course, we're going to pay attention to the college basketball going on today. There's a game on right now with McNeese State and Purdue. And unfortunately for McNeese State, the madness is not continuing. They currently trail Purdue 38-20. So it looks like, I guess, order is or chalk is being returned to the bracket, at least for now, in that matchup. But we'll get to that later in the show. Right now, we got to talk about the Astros because, as you heard coming into the show, Cam Smith hasn't stopped hitting. And it feels like we're having a pretty similar conversation each week. It's like, okay, well, now has he done enough? Okay, well, now has he done enough? And it's getting tougher and tougher, I think, to deny that Cam Smith is getting close to earning a spot on this team, or at least put himself in a spot where he gets kind of like a three-week vacation down in Sugarland before he comes up, before the start of May. But I don't know. Cam Smith, it feels pretty hard right now to keep Cam Smith down.
It does. And I remember we talked about this last week, and I was definitely on the plane of let's send him down, bring him up maybe like mid-season.
Right.
But he hasn't stopped.
He's hit 2 home runs this week.
He hasn't stopped producing.
No.
And at this point, you need as much talent and offense on the opening day roster to where now I'm at this point where I'm like, you know what? If he's going to continue this streak through spring training, why not? Like, is there a better argument to be made now to keep him from the big league roster? Like, I don't think there is.
Yeah, and I put this on our rundown. I mean, you look at his stats. I mean, look, I get it. Spring training stats don't matter. They absolutely do not. But Cam Smith is hitting .371 with a 1221 OPS, 4 home runs, including 2 this week. And here's the thing. Like his first 2 home runs came off right off the bat, like his first spring training game. So this has been 3 weeks ago at this point. He hits 2 home runs this week. And the knock on Cam Smith, in addition to, well, he'd only played 5 games above the single A level before spring training. So he's obviously being drafted last year, only 5 games above single A. He didn't have a lot of big time experience, right? He hasn't faced top competition. And that had been true through the first part of spring training, where even when he was getting hits, you looked at like the average pitcher he was going against. It was kind of like a AA level pitcher. That's who he was facing. But this week, his 2 home runs were off of 2 actual major league pitchers with years of experience, veterans, not some rookie or some single A prospect who's 19. He's now starting to do this against legit competition. So I think that's starting to push me, because I've been with you. I've been with Johnny, and Johnny will weigh in here in a second. But I've been on the side of, let's maybe talk to him in May. Let's maybe talk to him in June. The kid's had 5 bats above the single A level. He was drafted last June. This is way too quick. But now they started to do this against actual major league competition, and you're starting to get a fuller picture of, man, they don't really have any other options. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and we talk about like the hitting numbers, and I think I touched on this a couple weeks ago too. It's like, but he is seeing the ball really well. Like you would think like a young kid being called up, he would just be heavy swinging, striking out a lot, but he's not. Like he only has 10 strikeouts. He's got 5 or 6 walks. Like he is doing his thing. And at this point, like there's a reason why they wanted to include him in that package when they traded Tucker away. So
Yeah, he's obviously the jewel of it so far.
yeah, so if there's a if he was the main piece to that package and he's doing what he's doing now, I just don't see how you can make an argument to where let's just wait. Like obviously, if he starts on the opening day roster and he's struggling a little bit, okay, maybe send him down, let him get back into like the swing of things. But to keep him off the roster for the sole reason of, oh, he just got drafted last year and he hasn't seen a whole lot of talent. Like I don't know if I can make that argument anymore.
Yeah, and Johnny, please weigh in after
Yeah.
after what I'm about to say here. But getting to the last part of what I mentioned, like it's getting hard and hard to make the case to keep him down when you look at the options around him, and that's kind of thing. Like you were hoping that Chaz was going to come into the spring training and get back to being 2023 Chaz, where he was maybe the second best hitter on the team. You're hoping that Jake Myers might, take a step forward. But I mean, he's been okay this spring, but Chaz has been awful, by the way. But you know what Jake Myers is, over his career, and you're hoping that Jose Altuve was going to at least make the routine plays, and we'll get to more of Jose Altuve in a minute. But you were hoping he was going to at least make the routine plays in the outfield, and now he's dropping routine fly balls. So as all these things are happening around in Cam Smith, the things are like, well, we should try Chaz out. Well, let's see what Jose Altuve can do in left field. As those questions in things that were other options before are starting to seem like not options now, like how do you justify to keep Cam Smith down if everyone else around him is sucking and he's excelling?
Exactly.
Johnny?
I mean, DeZenzo has been pretty good. I mean, can't he play right field?
I mean, I don't know if he's done it a lot. He definitely is. He's played third. He's played a little bit of second. I don't know.
Here's the reason I asked that.
Okay.
My point is I'd like to see somebody else out in right field to start the season, and not Cam Smith on the roster, the major league roster. The reason I say that is because one, this is a hometown guy who's very young, and hasn't faced a lot of talent, and so I think what you're doing here, and I think what the fan base is doing, is getting very excited by like a very good performance in spring training, but like it's a shiny new car, and you want it to be great right away. But here's the thing. I mean, like, this guy is not under a lot of pressure right now. As soon as the season starts and everybody's got their eyes on him, he's going to be under a ton of pressure to perform. As soon as he gets to the major league level, all eyes are going to be on it. I think it's best here to just pump the brakes on him, slow down, let him develop. He's very young. And he recently drafted how many guys? Even if he was a top prospect on another team, if somebody was drafted and then brought up that quick, we'd all kind of go, well, that's very quick.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to pump the brakes and let him grow a little bit, and then when the time is ready, then you can bring him up and put him in right field. Why are we in a rush to do this right this minute?
Well, I'll tell you one of the reasons. Did you hear what his teammate Mauricio Dubon said to him?
Oh, yeah.
Said about him the other day. Cam, did you see this quote?
I did.
Mauricio Dubon, who might need to be tested for something after this quote, because I love Cam Smith, but this is a bit out there. He to paraphrase, said Cam Smith will be the next 60 home run guy. I mean, I'm kind of leaning to the side of let's bring this kid to the show. But after seeing that, like, I have to maybe go over more to Johnny's side. Like, okay, I like Cam Smith, but 60 home run guy? I mean, I outside of Aaron Judge, who's been the 60 home run guy before that? Was it Sosa and McGuire? Like, I'm trying to think of Bonds. I think it's only Aaron Judge.
Didn't what's his name on the Mets almost get there one year?
Pete Alonso had a 50 home run year. So did not Cecil Fielder, Prince Fielder. He's had a 50 home run year. There's been guys that have gotten to the 50s, but I think outside of the known enhancers, shall we put?
There we are.
I think that's the most politically correct way to say that. I think outside of the known enhancers, Aaron Judge is the only guy that's gotten to 60, basically in our lifetime. So I don't
60 home runs over 2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be ecstatic for that.
That would even be optimistic, considering we don't know when he's going to come up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Johnny's ultimately right, and Johnny being the voice of maturity and reason and logic here is a new. I think that's a new one for Johnny. He's normally someone that advocates for rat torture, and now he's out here being the voice of reason. But I think he's right. Look, I think the worst thing you could do is, like, of all the scenarios that could happen here, the worst thing you could do is set back his development, right? With Cam Smith. The worst thing you could do is have him come up before he's ready. He struggles, you ruin his confidence, and then it takes him however long to get back to the point that he's already at now. So I do think the best plan for the Astros over these next few months is to send him down to AAA, let him crush it, basically, all of April, and then see where we're at in May. And I think you also, not that I'm expecting anything from these guys, I think you also owe it to Chas McCormick to give him at least a chance to show that 2024 was the blip. Because 2023, he was great.
Yeah.
And every year before that, he was at least slightly above average. Like last year was the only year where he was just downright terrible. So I'd like to give Chas McCormick the chance to show, was 2024, his new normal? Or was that the blip? Was that the outlier? And he's actually at least an above average outfielder, above average hitter. And then you can live with, what Jake Myers does. And we'll see what, on Jose Altuve. And let's get to the Jose Altuve part of this on the other side of the break. So don't go anywhere. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. If you want to join in, talk about Cam Smith, Jose Altuve, or anything else going on with your Astros, give us a call or text on the HRP list line, 713-780-3776. Bullpen will be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back into the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer with you. You can find us on social media. I am at Sack by BMac on X. Cam is at Clutch City Cam, and Johnny's at Third Coast Johnny, the number 3 RD, Third Coast Johnny. So we talked this first segment about Cam Smith, and I think we're all in agreement. Like, we're very excited. I think Johnny's the most mature and reasonable one of the three of us, but I think we're all on the side of let's maybe wait a couple of weeks, right? I think that's where we're at. Now, the one thing that could change my mind is if Jose Altuve drops a few more easy pop-ups. Like every time he drops a pop-up, my percentage chance that Cam Smith makes the roster moves up about 5-10%. Every single time. It was like, he should have caught that. Now it's at 35. Oh, there's another one that hit the ground. Now we're at 45. And we saw the play, I guess it was a few weeks ago at this point, where he was going backwards. He was feeling for the wall, trying to get a gauge of where he was, on the warning track and whatnot. I guess just lost all, realization of where he was and let what should have been a out drop and turned into a triple. And that was already bad enough. But he had made some plays before that, up to that point, going back, making runs on, catches on the run, going towards the gap, to where I think a lot of us were willing to let that one go. But now, back-to-back days this last week, he had just absolutely easy routine balls that he dropped, like trying to transfer and throw, which is a problem because I think he's trying to cheat on it because he knows, as we all know, his arm sucks. His arm sucked as a second baseman, and now he's in the outfield. And the base runners also happen to know that, and they're going to test him every single time. So, I've heard people on this station say, well, that's an easy fix. He drops a pop fly. He's a major league player. He's been in the league since whatever. It's an easy fix. Well, I don't like that logic because while I hear what they're saying, it's something that is easy. The fact that a guy who's 34 and been in the majors since 2011, I believe, if it's so easy and it's so correctable, then why didn't he do it the 2 times where he dropped the ball, right? Like I'm trying, there's a gap in the logic there where you're saying, well, this is very fixable because it's easy. Well, if it's easy and fixable, then why didn't he do it? Yeah, there must be some sort of problem there.
You can't just assume because he's been such a great baseball player the last 13, 14 years that he can just switch positions and be okay. Like it doesn't work that way. Like I mentioned this, second base and outfield are two completely different.
Well, the reaction time is different.
It's two completely different positions. You cannot just assume that you can throw a guy in left field and because he's been good for so long at another position that he's going to be able to just fix these mistakes. Like it's just not going to happen that way. Like clearly this experiment is not working. And it's unfair to him too, because it's just
well, I think he wanted to do it though.
I think he wanted to do it.
Or maybe he's just being a good soldier.
He was thinking that Bregman was going to come back and he wanted to be like a team player. But Bregman didn't come back. So why are we still trying to have this Altuve in the outfield experiment? Like it's not happening. Like and the fact that he's dropping balls and he's misplacing when he's trying to throw it back in, those are going to be crucial errors when the regular season starts.
Yeah, I don't know what the right answer is. I really think this is starting to become a situation where there is no right answer, because the right answer, I think, is he needs to DH, but he can't because we have to protect Yordan Alvarez at all costs. Now, he could DH in the games where Yordan plays in left field, but I mean, last year Yordan played, I think, 52 games in left field, and even that felt like probably a little too much, a little too risky. So, I mean, there's going to be a good chunk of the season where DH is not available to Jose Altuve. And we've seen his, I think he won his Gold Glove in 2015. We've seen, now, some people don't buy into these metrics, don't buy into these stats, and that's fine. That's another argument for another day. But if you look at the stats for like defensive runs saved, those sort of things that grade out defensive players, Jose Altuve, since he won that Gold Glove in 2015, has been a steady decline down to the point where he's been bottom 3 or the worst second baseman defensively in the entire league the last 3 years. So he doesn't have a home at second base. You can't play him at DH. I'm with you that it's been bad and probably will continue to be bad in left field, but if you're Joe Espada, and he's already been on record saying he's primarily going to be a left fielder this year, he's sticking to his guns on this. I don't know what the answer is. If you're Joe Espada, you're able to Freaky Friday into Joe Espada's body, and now I'm doing radio Joe Espada because you're the Astros manager. Are you throwing Jose Altuve back at second base? What's your answer?
Yeah. I mean, I get that he has performed defensively, like you said, worse and worse each year. But that doesn't mean that you just move him to another position. It's kind of like Marcus Semien. every year he's got like 20 something plus errors at second base,
Yeah,
but they don't move him to a different position
because
like
it'll be even worse.
because he'll be even worse. And it's just
Right.
kind of like, who are you going to play at second base? Like,
It'll be Dubon, who's
but-
won a Gold Glove.
But Dubon has played outfield and has done well in the outfield. So that's why, like, I don't understand, like, why wouldn't you just throw Dubon in the outfield, who has played the outfield hundreds of times, compared to Altuve, who has never played outfield his entire life?
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
And I think that is what I was kind of leaning towards here is why not just go with the best result that I think you're going to get here is put Altuve back at second and have Dubon play left field. But also, I'm not ready to give up on Altuve in left field either. You go from playing second base your whole career to then adjusting to, like Cam said earlier, they're two different positions, but it's totally different tracking a baseball and getting those mechanics back of, like you said, transfer once you catch it, quickly transferring it to get a throw back into the infield. I think that's just like, this is him in spring training, just kind of going through those motions and getting that back. I think he is a professional baseball player and can figure that out here at some point. I know we've seen two ugly examples, okay? And I cringed at him just like everybody else did. But I think it's Jose Altuve, and I think we need to give him just a little bit. I seen people on Twitter yesterday saying this is tarnishing his legacy. Give me a break.
Settle down.
I think it'll be fine. It'll be okay. Most of his games in left field will be in that short left field section at Minute Maid, and I think he'll be okay.
Daikin Park, first off, let's get the sponsor right. It's the ice box now, baby.
I don't want to call it that.
I know, I don't want to either. It's weird. So let's attack part of what you said there from two angles. Well, and this is part of what you said as well, Cam. Let's first go to like the whole Dubon versus Altuve thing. And I hear your logic in, well, Dubon's the guy with experience in the outfield, so put him in the outfield, and it completely makes sense. But if Jose Altuve has to play, which of course he has to play because you need his bat. He's the greatest player in Astros history. So if he's going to be playing and you can't play him at DH because Yordan takes it up, I think what we're talking about with Dubon, like if Dubon and Altuve are both going to play, now you're kind of just asking the question of where do we want the better defensive player? And second base is the more premium defensive position than left field, especially for what Johnny mentioned with the short porch at Daikin Park because of the Crawford boxes. Now, I think the way I'm looking at it is when Fromber, like if Fromber or Hunter Brown, who are both ground ball pitchers, are pitching at home with the short porch, Jose Altuve should be the left fielder. Try to make it work. And they give those pitchers who rely on getting outs on the ground ball the best possible defensive player they can have at second base, which is Mauricio Dubon, not Jose Altuve. But when they're on the road, when those other pitchers who are more fly ball pitchers are on the mound, then maybe we switch. And I think Joe Espada is just trying to give his guy a vote of confidence when he's saying, oh, he's going to be our primary left fielder. Like, what's he going to say? Oh, yeah, he sucks. This is not. What is he going to say? Oh, this hasn't gone. This hasn't gone well. Oops. Like, he's not going to say that. He's going to have to have. If they're going to still try to make this work, which they have to, because Jose Altuve, unfortunately, is a player without a home defensively, then he's going to have his guys back. But I think this could be a situation where Jose Altuve is basically not a utility player because he's going to start every day. But I think it's going to depend on home road. It's going to depend, is it a ground ball pitcher or a fly ball pitcher? And he's going to have time both at second base and in left field.
Yeah, and I mean, you make a good point when it comes to like ground ball and fly ball pitchers. And so like that might work, but I don't like the quote of saying he's going to start the majority of games at like left, like in the outfield. Like
yeah. Well, it'll be left field. He can't play center or right.
Well, definitely not. I guess it's just going to have to be one of those that's just a day-by-day thing. Like, it just depends.
I think it will be.
It depends on
I hope so, at
who's
least.
on the mound for the opposing team, who's on the mound for the Astros, and then just, like, take it day by day. And, I mean, we saw this with Craig Biggio. Like, and Craig Biggio honestly had to go play at a harder position in center field.
He had to go up damn Taos Hill.
And it wasn't terrible, but and obviously they did it because they brought in like Jeff Kent, so Craig Biggio had to like go
and then
somewhere.
He moved to left field because of Beltran.
Yeah. So we've seen this experiment kind of work before for the Astros. So maybe it'll be okay without Altuve. It's just hard to, and honestly too, maybe him playing a Minute Maid. Obviously, that's a different stadium than playing in an outdoor spring training stadium where it's just in Florida, like the wind, like all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff
like
could play like a
when they're
factor.
playing at home, he's not going to most days because they barely open the roof. I
Yeah.
mean, they open it occasionally, but not very often. He's not going to have to read the wind. There's not going to be a wind pushing the ball out or wind pushing the ball in or something swirling
or a sun like directly
sun
like
in his
your
eyes.
face.
Yeah.
So again, it's just we're going off of what we're seeing in spring training, and I guess it's just weird that we've seen Altuve at second base for so long, and now we see him in the outfield. So I guess sometimes we can be like quick to judge and be like, oh, it's not going to work. So like I'm trying to like put the brakes on that, but it's just like the season's about to hit here. Like we're about to hit the season, and
it's Thursday,
and you can make the argument that he hasn't gotten any better in the outfield, and now we're about to go against premium talent.
So here's the thing. This gets to the second half of what Johnny said, and I think he's right. And you kind of touched on a little bit too. Is how long has he been playing at the outfield in spring training? 3 weeks, and he's not playing every single day. And even when he does play, for the most part, he's not playing 9 innings. How long did he have to learn to be a second baseman? His entire damn life.
Exactly.
So I do think there has to be, and I mean that's part of your point. I think for why we don't want him in the outfield is because what he knows is second base. But if they're going to try to make this work, I think we also then have to have the patience and realize he had, I don't know how old he was. Well, he's 30. I think he's 34 now. So he had 33 years to try to learn how to and experience playing second base. He's had 3 weeks in the outfield. Like he's going to need, to Johnny's point, he's going to need some time to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
The question will become, how long are they going to be willing to see him play poorly? How long are they willing to be, or how long are they going to allow him to drop balls that are easy routine plays before they go, okay, I know we wanted to try this. It's not working. This is losing us a game potentially. Now we got to pull the plug. I think that'll be the question for Joe Espada to answer, and it might be answered by how well the offense is doing overall. Because I don't know. Like they're wanting to do this. I guess they're wanting to do it. Yeah, they're obviously wanting to do it for mostly defensive reasons. But if they're winning games, I think they're going to be more willing to ride this experiment out. If they get off to a slow start like they did last year, where they're 10 games, behind Seattle, a couple weeks into May, and the offense is part of the reason, or Jose Altuve's defense is part of the reason, I think they're going to pull the plug.
Oh yeah, and that obviously winning and losing is going to be like the deciding factor. But like to your point, like exactly how long are we going to wait to see him try and improve before they're like, oh, you know what, this has been a mistake. Like I wish I could like go back and like look at what Craig Biggio did and be like, all right, how long did it take him to like get into like a rhythm of like the outfield?
I mean, they eventually moved him back. So
yeah, well, because Jeff Kent was
gone after 2 years.
Was out of there.
And Chris Burke never took over the position.
Oh, Chris Burke.
Yeah.
That one game.
But I think the interesting part of this, and this is why I brought up the offensive side, because obviously this move is made primarily because, well, he sucks at second base. So let's try to shift up where he's playing and put him at a less premium position. So primarily this move is defensive. But the reason I bring up how the offense is doing in regards to if they're winning or not is I think by putting Jose Altuve in left field and then forcing Mauricio Dubon at second base, I think you're limiting your options as far as putting out the best offensive alignment. And that goes back to, do you have Zach DeZenzo? Do you have Cam Smith make the roster? Because if you're willing to have Jose Altuve at second base, then you could be in the spot where Cam Smith and Zach DeZenzo, if Chaz and Mauricio Dubon aren't hitting, are your corner outfielders along with Jake. And now you got, your infield with Paredes, Pena, Altuve, Walker, Yainer Diaz behind the plate. You're not a DH. Your 2 young guys in the corner outfields. And now your only weak spot possibly is Jake Myers. So I think that's a part of it. Like if not only is it working out defensively, but is your offense doing well? Because if it's not, I think this lineup with Jose Altuve in left is limiting its total possibility. So I think that's really going to come down to, are they winning games and is the offense producing?
Zach DeZenzo better be on this team.
Yeah, Zach DeZenzo's hitting .415 in spring, 1137 OPS.
I do not want John Singleton to be the primary
I don't think he's going to make the roster.
First baseman. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where I don't know where they'll have DeZenzo's primary positions. He's played third, he's played second, he's played some outfield. I just think when you look at this, like, because obviously most of this lineup is accounted for. Yonder Diaz, Christian Walker once he gets back, Pena and Isaac Paredes, Jake Myers in center. But I think your best possible lineup, if we believe in Zach DeZenzo and Cam Smith, is having those two guys as your corner outfielders and then Jose Altuve back at second base. Because Mauricio Dubon, while I do value his glove and it makes sense to have him at second base for your best possible defensive lineman with Framber Valdez on the mound, he's not a plus offensive player. His OPS plus 2 years in a row has been below the league average.
Yeah.
So it's I know that we kind of gone round in circles on this, but it really does feel like this is a question of get to May, see what the team's record is, see how the offense is producing. Because if the offense isn't producing, I think your best lineup it was putting Jose Altuve offensively. That is putting your Jose Altuve back at second base and then having Cam Smith and Zach DeCenzo in your corner outfield spots.
Yeah, and like obviously DeCenzo and Cam Smith outfield's not their primary position.
No.
But if we're willing to experiment with Jose Altuve, why can't we experiment with two younger guys who would probably be more I don't want to say more willing because obviously Jose Altuve is willing to play the outfield. But if we can experiment with him, why can't we experiment with these two other guys in the outfield? Especially since, like you mentioned, DeCenzo has played other positions before. It sounds like he's kind of like that Mauricio Dubon guy where you can basically plug him in anywhere besides catcher and pitcher.
Yeah, and DeCenzo couldn't play short or center field either, but I think he's.
But that's fine. We wouldn't need him to play those positions.
You wouldn't necessarily need them because I mean you're going to roll with defensive players like Pena and Jake Myers and those two positions anyway. Yeah, I really think this is going to be a situation where they probably send Cam, and this is kind of bringing it full circle. We'll go to break after this, but bringing it back full circle to Cam Smith. I think this is going to be a situation where they start the year trying it out with Jose Altuve in left field, giving Chaz a chance to prove that 2024 was, the asterisk to his, or like the outlier to his career, that he's actually a good offensive player. And if the team is winning and the offense is producing, then they'll probably keep rolling with that. But if the offense isn't producing and they're losing, then I think they're going to have to take a look at what is our best offensive lineup. And I don't think that's with Jose Altuve in left field, because Jose Altuve in left field means either Cam Smith or Zach DeCenzo doesn't have a spot to play.
Yeah, and if we're going to do it that way, if Cam Smith is not going to be on the opening day roster, then he needs to start playing in the outfield.
And he is
in
like
AAA.
When we started having this conversation, part of my reason, he's not going to make the roster because they only had him play third base.
Yeah,
because we knew if he's going to make the team, it's going to be in right field, and he wasn't playing right field. He is now playing right field in spring training. So I do think once they send him down, it kind of like what happened when Joey Loperfido got sent down last year, where he was an outfielder, and then when he got sent down to AAA, they started experimenting with him at first base to see if there was an option there because how poorly Jose Abreu had played. So I think what we'll see is he gets sent down to AAA, and he's immediately going to be starting off in right field. But other side of the break, let's continue this over with the Astros. We got to get to Lance McCullers Jr. had a start on Tuesday. Wasn't very long, but went pretty well. And we got some unfortunate news with another Astros starter, that, of course, being Luis Garcia. That when the bullpen returns, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into the Bullpen. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer with you. You can hit us up on the HRMP listener line at 713-780-3776. As we had someone just text in a few minutes ago as my phone tries to load. This is great. Here we go. From 8437, bad Altuve defense will be a lot easier to swallow if he's also out there hitting home runs and hitting 300 plus. Which, I mean, I agree with the sentiment overall. Now his batting average did dip below 300 last year, and his home runs, where he'd had a couple seasons recently where he'd been up at like 27, 31. Like his power's really surging. It was 19 last year, and his Vegas line, I believe, was like 17 and a half. So I think we're starting to see some signs of, the natural age decline there. Not that he's going to be a bad offensive player by any means. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but yeah, I don't know if like, because you're right, like 30 home runs, 31 home runs, hitting, like he's won obviously 3 batting titles. If you were telling me batting title, 31 home runs, he could drop almost every single ball that was hit to him. I probably would not care. But I think we're kind of okay. I obviously I exaggerate for
no,
effect.
but I know where you're going.
Effect, yes, but I think there's the sliding scale of what you're willing to overlook for the offense is starting to go the other way, unfortunately. Because I mean, it does that when you're 34, 35. Two of us know that. Johnny's got a couple more years to go, I think, before he gets to that age. But I think I'm right on that, right? Yeah, I think I'm right. Yeah, if I'm not right, you can just say I'm right, and then you could age yourself down. So, anyway, I'm a little bit distracted. I'm just going to get this off my chest right now. And I mean, obviously, there's college basketball going on. Purdue's putting an absolute beating on McNeese State right now, 53-28. So it looks like the run of Amir Khan's going to end here. And let's see, there's 15:47 to go in the second half. But not only am I, trying to pay attention to the tournament, see how my bracket's doing, but I can't. This is a sentence that I didn't think I'd be saying in 2025. I think you're both going to laugh at me, but I've made 4 trips to GameStop in the last 2 days.
I'm gonna be honest. I forgot GameStop was around.
See, and John, the first thing Johnny's going to say is like, "Why aren't you just downloading your games, bro?"
Well, I just can't. I cannot think of a reason why you would need to do that.
Okay, so here's the reason. I had to get this we get this off my chest because it's been bothering me, and I think this will be once I get this resolved. Because there's at least one more trip to GameStop in my future.
Confession?
Huh?
Is this a confession?
No, not really a confession. It's just annoying. It's poor customer service and a bad business, and reasons why Cam didn't know they exist here still in 2025. So I mostly downloaded my games just directly from the console, right? Why bother going out when you can why wait for the store to open at 10 when you could just download and get it at midnight, right? It's not worth the hassle. The only reason I sometimes buy games still from GameStop is if it's a game that I know I'm going to play for like a month and then be done with it, right? Because then I have the opportunity to trade it back in. I know the trade value is going to be crap, but at least you're getting, if you spent 70, maybe you get 15 back and you can go towards the next one. So whatever. But like a game like College Football 25, where I know I'm going to play it the entire way, I just download it because I'm not trading it anyway. Well, the new Assassin's Creed came out.
I knew this is where we were going.
You knew this is where I was going?
Me and my friend were just talking about Assassin's Creed yesterday.
So Assassin's Creed Shadows just came out yesterday. And so I decided to buy it. I had pre-ordered this from GameStop like last October because this game was originally supposed to come out in November. It just kept getting pushed back. So I go to GameStop yesterday, the one closest to me. And, I pre-ordered it, come in, hey, man, pre-ordered Assassin's Creed, blah, blah, blah. He puts a PlayStation 5 copy on the counter. One problem, I only own an Xbox Series X. I've never owned a PS5. So, and he's like, well, I was like, well, that's, PlayStation. You gave me the wrong one. Xbox, that's PlayStation, whatever. It's like, oh, no, you pre-ordered PlayStation 5. I looked, it's like, bro, I've never owned a PlayStation 5. There's no reason I would have ordered a PlayStation 5 version of this game. But I was like, no big deal. Just, give me an Xbox version. He's like, well, we only get the amount of copies in to match our pre-orders. So we don't have any extra copies. It's like, you didn't get a single extra copy, because I used to work at GameStop. So some of this is like, I know where the BS is because I used to say some of this BS. I was like, you order extra copies. It's like, no, we only have the reserved copies and they're on hold for 48 hours. So you come by on Sunday and see if anyone doesn't pick up their game. It's like, all right, whatever. Like, can we look to see if any other locations got extra games? It's like, no, I can't look that up, which, spoiler alert, he can.
Okay.
Yeah, he can. He can and chose not to. So I looked it up. I left the store, went to the remote yesterday at Carbach Brewing, which is a great spot. Go out there and watch your games. I left there. I looked up on my phone, like during downtime, what stores had copies of the game. Went to another location in Humble, so not far away from where I was. It's right by the Deerbrook Mall, and they had a copy. Great. So what I needed to do then, because I put like $60-something down on this game, like I almost paid it off completely. So what I needed them to do was to cancel it, call the other store, cancel that pre-order, put it on a gift card. Let me put that gift card towards the purchase of this game, right? Something, again, from my past life working GameStop, we did all the time. It's easy. You cancel it, you put that amount on the gift card, you read the person on the phone, the gift card number, they apply it to the charge, in and out the door in 3 minutes. But it was the person there just, it was one of the kind of feigned ignorance. Like, I don't think we can do that. And then I listened to her talk to the person she calls. Like, I've never done this before. So that's what the answer was.
That's what it is.
It wasn't that you don't do this. It's like she had no experience. She didn't call the other store. The other store also had no experience with this. And like, no, you're going to have to go to that store and cancel it and then take the gift card and come back to us. I was like, at this point, I've got food in the car. I'm on my way home from work. I was like, okay, fine. I'll do that tomorrow, whatever. And I left the store where I almost left the store. Right before I left, it's like, well, can you hold this copy for me? I'll pick it up tomorrow. She's like, no, I don't think we can do that. I'm like, what do you mean you can't do that? Again, having worked there, yes, you can. You can hold it for 24 hours. That's all I'm asking for.
The struggle is real.
So I go to the Kingwood location today. I get them to cancel it. I get it put on the gift card. I drive over to the store in Humble. Apparently they have different hours than every other GameStop. They don't open till 11, so I just had to leave and come here because our show starts at noon, and it's a bit of a drive coming in from Humble. So now I'm gonna have to go back there on my way home today to finally get this game, making it 5 stops at a GameStop to get one game.
You better hope Assassin's Creed is the greatest game you've ever played.
If it sucks, I will tell you guys right away because I will be expectations at this point. I mean, again, the game was supposed to come out in November. It's now obviously March 22nd. It's March 22nd. This game's 5 months late from when it was supposed to originally be launched. And I've had to go to 5 GameStops to get this damn game. So anyway, I'm a little bit distracted. Yeah, McNeese State onto that, and I'm a little bit distracted. Johnny, looks like you have something to say. Okay,
yes.
Please.
Okay.
Is that why am I so old that I'm going to GameStop? Is that the question?
Well, no, but I have other questions about how old you are. But no, this is. I'm curious why people and why. It sounds like, and I didn't get the whole story. We just kind of got a piecemeal story there. But
Sure.
But it sounds like when they told you we can't do the gift card thing over the phone, you have to go back, cancel it, and then bring that you sort of just accepted it. See, I've been in situations like that before.
Okay.
Where you can say, I used to work here. I know how it works. Can I tell you how to do it? Like push just a little bit against it and try to get them to do it.
Part of that is I did. Like I mentioned in past, like it's like, well, I used to, work here. I know, how to do this. This is something we did like on a regular basis. And her answer is like, well, I think the policy might have been changed. And it was, I had food in the car. My wife and kid are waiting on me. It's like, this girl was probably like 23 years old. Am I going to be the 6'3", 40-year-old white man yelling at a woman in the store while the food for my wife and kid gets cold in the car?
Nobody said yelling. But,
well, you know what I mean. Like,
I mean, when you prepaid for it, hell yeah.
I didn't want to cause a scene. I think as I've gotten older, I'm more cognizant of like, especially given my size, I don't want to be the big burly white guy yelling at some employee in the store. I don't know. I don't want to end up on social media as a checkout, cis male.
I mean, I get that because like I feel like I'm like that these days. Like if I like go out to like a bar and like my drink gets made wrong or it doesn't taste like great, like I'm 99% of the time I'm not going to say anything. I'm just
Right.
going to like finish it because I don't want to have to deal with complaining about something. But like that's different when it's like a $6 or $7 purchase. When you're dropping $80
Yeah,
on a
it's like
game
70, but still,
and
yeah.
you're like the reason you did it is to pick it up at the store and everybody's telling you, I don't know, I think maybe, it's just kind of like, okay, well, just do it. Like
Yeah, yeah. Like I think the main thing that I mean, well, lots of things bug me in this transaction, but I think what bugs me the most is when an employee doesn't know, especially since I come from a background of knowing what you're supposed to do, having worked at a GameStop for like 3-4 years. I think what bothers me most is someone doesn't know how to do something, and because they're too lazy or unwilling to figure it out, they just say like, "Oh, we can't do that. That's like store policy. It changed." Like, no, it didn't.
Well, to be fair, how much are they getting paid? Like
No,
$10 an hour or something?
there's also a
So,
reason
I mean,
and that's part of why I didn't want to cause a scene. Like,
yeah.
I know what this person makes because I made it, right? Like for a number of years. So like, I don't want to dress down someone making like $12 an hour while I got food in the car getting cold. There's a line. Like, it's just like, you know what? I know I'm right, but I'm going to let this one go and fix it the next day. Unfortunately, as I described, though, still hasn't been fixed. I made 2 trips to different GameStops this morning, and I got another one after the show.
right, but like it's not your fault.
I know
that's
it's
what
not
they
my
make,
fault,
and that's their
but I
job.
can't.
You
But I
work
can't
at
lean over the
GameStop.
counter and just grab it. So what are
Well, yeah,
what are my
I
options?
wouldn't do that either.
Well, I
But
know. I'm just saying, like, what is my option at that point? Yell at her till she does it the way I told. I mean, like, I just felt like it was
And you can make things happen without yelling. And I don't think
Yeah, you
anybody's
pull out your dad
advocating
voice.
for you to
pull out
scream
my
at
dad
her.
voice.
oh yeah, I do that with my students all the time. I don't yell at them, but I will
You can just kind of lower your
I
voice
will-
and get real
I
serious.
will get
Yeah.
firm and be like, stop it. Like you pull out that dad voice, and all of a sudden they're like, oh,
So
he
like,
means business.
like maybe I should have gone Liam Neeson on him. Like, I have acquired many skills
Yes.
over a 4-year period, a 4-year tenure at GameStop. Skills that now allow me to know how to get this transaction done, moving this gift card over for the purchase of Assassin's Creed Shadow. Should you choose not to accept this path, consequences will be had.
Yeah, and you would think with the fact that like everything is you're able to do it like online, and like you said, like you can download games from your console, you'd think that GameStop would be like, oh crap, we need to be
that
like
was
on our business about.
Yeah, part of it's like, your business is dying, right?
Yeah.
You should be willing to
Yeah,
Hello,
but at
have
this
you
point,
seen
they've given up.
Blockbuster?
They've given up. So
yeah.
you know.
Well, clearly the employees I've dealt with so far have given. All right, we're way over, and we meant to talk about Lance McCullers. We'll do that on the other side of the break. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back into the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Thank you guys for letting me get my GameStop rant off my chest. That I don't know if I'm fully relaxed yet because I still don't have a copy of the game in my hands, but I'm feeling a little bit better. If you want to call in and bash GameStop or join in the Astros conversation, please do. HRP listener line 713-780-3776. And GameStop, if you want to sponsor this show, I will then say better things about you. But let's get to the GameStop of Astros pitching. Lance McCullers Jr. Was that too mean? Was that
so disrespectful.
Who is the GameStop of Astros pitching? 713-780-3776. No, but all right, let's pay proper respects to Lance, because I know Cam was very disrespectful last week to Lance McCullers when it came out. You were out.
Okay.
I mean, the disrespect from this side of the table was
you just did it too. So
I mean, you thought that was bad. That Cam was 3 times more disrespectful than I was. I kid, probably, mostly.
It wasn't disrespect. It wasn't a lot of optimism.
Okay, well let's see where your optimism's at now, Cam. He finally made his spring training debut through 1 scoreless inning, got 2 grounds out, hit a guy, and so far is still healthy. So I mean, all systems go, right? Like we're good to go.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah. Joe Tessitore once said Texas is back. Lance McCullers is back. Reaction, Cam.
I mean, I'm a little more.
Hear that sign? That was so disrespectful.
I'm a little more optimistic than I was the previous few weeks, but I'm still a little reserved because it's only 1 inning that he has pitched.
Scoreless, 2 ground outs, sir.
Yay. Again. like
I told you it was disrespectful.
It's great seeing that, but like I'm still not fully back on like the LMJ train. Like he is just, that elbow got so beat up over the last few years that it's just like, again, I need to see consistent games of 5 or 6 innings pitched before I'm like, okay.
Well, I think the days of 6 inning starts are even like on the most optimistic side of things. I think we're probably done with that, because like I am starting to get the feeling. And now this, I think you're probably going to say I'm going too far. I'm jumping to conclusions like, Johnny Hughes is doing with Cam Smith. But I'm starting to think Lance McCullers Jr. is going to help this team more this year than their projected current 5th starter, Hayden Wesneski, who they got from the Cubs in the Kyle Tucker trade. Like, Wesneski I think he's just a guy. And look, Lance may not be back to May, but what we saw the last time he was out for a while, in 2022, he was out for a while. He comes back in August and made 8 regular season starts. Obviously pitched in the playoffs and a game 3 of the World Series, which that game didn't go well. But in those 8 regular season starts, he had an ERA sub 3. Like, he was just as effective. I don't think the stuff has gone away. Now, it's going to take him time to hone it in, which is why he's going to go down. They've already said he's starting the season in AAA.
Yeah.
He's probably, best case, not going to be back until sometime in May. But I think when he gets back, let's just call it May 15th. For May 15th on, I think he's going to help the team more than Hayden Wesneski. I'll go a step further. I think he helps the team from May 15th on more than Ronel Blanco. Am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy, but like that's also like the thing for me. It's like, okay, if Lance is a serviceable 5, like cool, but we need him to be more.
We though? I mean, because you're,
yeah.
Well, well, that was emphatic, Cam. That was emphatic. Damn, I didn't know you felt that way. All right, maybe you could call GameStop for me, and maybe you use that voice, and I'll get my game quicker. But look, I mean, Hunter Brown's your ace. Or sorry, Framber Valdez is your ace. Hunter Brown is a very good 2, who I think could be an ace on a number of teams. And we saw second half Spencer Arrighetti. I think I have the numbers down here on the bottom of the Google Doc as I scroll. Yes, second half of the season last year, because Spencer Arrighetti, his first half not great. His ERA was 5.63, and his WHIP was 1.6. Just really bad numbers. Second half of the year, though, his ERA was 3.18 with a 1.1 WHIP. Like, we saw Spencer Arrighetti take a massive step forward in the second half of the year. So we know who Framber is. I'm pretty sure we know who Hunter Brown is, because when he added that sinker, like May 5th, from that point forward, he was one of the best pitchers in the American League. And you add to that Spencer Arrighetti, like I don't even need him to be 318 like he was in the second half of last year. Let's just call it 375. If you get Ace Fromber, what we saw last year from Hunter Brown, and even a little bit worse than what Spencer Arrighetti was in the second half last year as your 1-2-3, I don't know if you need a whole lot more out of Lance McCullers as the guy that could go out and just give you 5 innings, like two or three earned runs. Like I don't really think you need more than that from him.
You might not if this team is hitting and winning, then you don't. But like again, this is kind of like going back to like that like Altuve thing. Like it just it depends on like where you're at. But I don't know. I need Lance to be more than like a 5 or a 4. Like I guess what I'm saying is
I think you're gonna be disappointed then because because obviously 1 and 2, and obviously once you get into the regular season, who's 1, who's 2 doesn't ultimately matter. It only really matters again in the postseason. But I mean, Hunter and Fromber are so good that Lance doesn't have to be your 1 or 2. It's like the only spot you could say like I'd like him to be is your 3. But what we saw last year with Spencer Arrighetti's second half, I didn't even bring up his strikeout numbers, which were near top of the American League again in the second half. Like, I don't think you need him to be any more than a 4. Like, I mean, if he's a quality 4 and Arrighetti's who he was, same thing with Hunter, same thing with Fromber. Like, I don't know. I get your sentiment. Like, you want Lance to be the Lance that we've seen before, and I totally get that. But I don't think this team necessarily needs him to be any more than a decent 4.
Yeah, and I mean, like, true. I guess my like where I'm coming from is Fromber really great first half, not very great second half. Hunter Brown not really.
Not last year though. He was pretty good in the second half last year. I think you're thinking of 2023.
Maybe 20. I feel like with these
because 2023, other than that no hitter he threw against Cleveland, like his second half was pretty rocky.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of that.
It just the starting lineup for pitchers just it concerns me, and so I'm unsure of like these guys. I just feel like it's been a while since anybody's put together like a real consistent, solid entire season, and so because we keep talking about halves.
Yeah, see, I mean, you're right, but I also think it's a little unfair because really with Fromber, we're only talking about 2023 because 2022 was the year that he had that crazy long quality start streak.
Oh yeah,
he was amazing.
It was a Cy Young season,
right? I think he was top 3 in Cy Young that year. In 2024, I think he had a little bit of a blip in May, but basically the entire year for 4/5 of the year he was great. And Hunter Brown is, I mean, it's a long, like he was basically unusable in April. We all remember the 11 runs he gave up against Kansas City in April last year. He was downright awful through April, but as soon as he added in the sinker, like May 5th forward, so that's out of a 6-month season, that's all but one of them. From May 5th forward, he was one of the best pitchers in the American League. Yeah. So I don't really see it as like I get what you're saying. Like they've had some ups and downs. Fromber had a really rocky 2023. Hunter Brown had a really rocky April last year. But for most of last season, Spencer Arrighetti less so. His was like first half, second half. He falls more into the category you were talking about. But I think most of those guys, for the most part, have been pretty rock solid.
Yeah, maybe I'm just. Sounds like I'm just. I might just be.
The stings. Yeah.
I might just be over.
You're feeling the stings, Johnny. Where you at? I know we got to get to break, but quickly weigh here. Where's your optimism level with Lance McCullers?
I mean, it's better than it was. Obviously, I mean, we got to see him on the mound throwing to live batters. That was awesome to see. Very short, little sweet set, but only a couple batters. But
he give up a run.
And he didn't give up a run. He did hit a batter, which is a little.
Hey, he also Cam and I were talking about this break. He also hit a batter in Game 7 of the World Series in 2017. So who cares?
Yeah, maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, I'm feeling better about it, but I don't have any expectations for him at all. Whatever we get out of Lance McCullers Jr. is a bonus, whatever it is.
Haters. Dealing with a couple of haters over here.
I'm not saying we won't get it.
You guys see his teammates gave him a standing ovation when he came back to the dugout? Well, you guys over here poo-pooing him?
I would too. I don't hate the guy. Like Johnny said, I just don't have a lot of expectations.
His arm is trash, his coffee's trash, his haircut's stupid. That's what I'm hearing from you, Cam.
Oh, no. No.
Have you tried his coffee, Maven Coffee?
I honestly did not know that he had.
Yeah, he has a coffee place called Maven.
I don't really drink.
I don't drink coffee,
Yeah.
so I
Is
was
it like a
relying on.
Houston-based place? It's like a Houston-based coffee shop?
It's an actual coffee shop, not just like
Maven.
products.
Actually, that
like
does sound kind of
Maven,
familiar.
I think Maven. Yeah.
Oh, maybe
I was hoping one of you guys drank coffee so you could tell me how it was.
I do drink coffee.
If they have
I've
some
never had
pastries,
Maven.
I might stop by.
Sweet. If we have some pastries.
Yeah.
God. All right. I'm done with you guys. All right. On the side of the break, we actually got a little more to talk about with the Astros. Then we'll get into the Texans because they've had a lot of eventful things going on. But Luis Garcia, as I teased a couple segments ago before we got into GameStop talk, he's had another setback. We got to talk about it. Other side of the break. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Don't go anywhere. Welcome in hour number 2 of the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Myself, Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer here with you. Sean Mapes will return to the program next week.
Who?
I know. It does feel like a who situation. I don't think he's been on with us since February. But he will be back on the show next week. Sports Entertainment Sean. I'm sure he's going to have some takes on John Cena turning heel. Finally, I'll have someone to talk about John Cena with on the show. Johnny Cam giving me nothing on John Cena.
You can talk to us about it. We just might not be able to go back and forth.
Johnny, you have any thoughts on heel John Cena?
No.
Yeah.
No.
See, nothing.
Well,
see, nothing.
Quick segment.
The man Cena goes over to damn Brussels, turns heel, talks crap to a 10-year-old in the crowd, and Johnny's got no takes on it. Very disappointing, Johnny.
I didn't even know it happened. So.
Oh, I love that.
Wait, you talking about when
Don't change, Johnny.
the kid asked him what his favorite food was?
I guess I didn't see that. No, what happened?
Oh, well, he was sitting next to his girlfriend, fiance, wife. I don't
He
know,
has a wife, yeah.
And he basically alluded to her. Yeah. I was like, oh wow.
All right. Yeah. Look, hey, he's the heel now. He can do that. He can crap talk the kids. All right. Someone someone that's had a little bit of a not a heel turn, but maybe in the eyes of Astros fan, because he certainly isn't doing us any favor right now. But obviously not his fault, so we're not going to kill him for it. I was trying to think of a transition there. It did not work, but we get into Luis Garcia anyway. Luis Garcia, who Johnny's cackling back there. I was trying to go for a transition, Johnny.
Well, a couple weeks ago, you asked me to grade your transition.
Yeah, okay.
Can I grade that one?
I don't want to ask you because I know what it is. To quote John McClane, F-.
I was gonna say C-.
Okay, well, you're a little more, you're a little nicer than John McClane talking about the pathetic Houston Texans when they lose. But Luis Garcia is someone who started with the Astros. Well, not started with the Astros in 2023, but he started the 2023 season. And a few starts in, had to shut it down and eventually have Tommy John. We knew he was going to be out for a while, but coming into like this time last year, kind of like we were having the conversations with Lance McCullers, thought, okay, well, he's going to be up sometime, maybe late June, early July, All-Star break. Kind of, I think, what some people's expectations are for Christian Javier. Although I would say let's hold off on those based upon what we're about to talk about with Luis Garcia. But if you haven't heard, Luis Garcia had yet another setback. This is from Chandler Rome. Luis Garcia has been shut down with elbow soreness and will be seen by team doctors. Joe Espada said Garcia had been scheduled to throw a live bullpen today. Chandler Rome continues. Luis Garcia faced hitters in October and almost all winter and was considered ahead of Lance McCullers Jr. in the rehab schedules. It's unclear how things have derailed. The Astros reiterated this week they will not make any member of their medical staff available for interviews. So it just leaves us to wildly speculate and guess as to what the hell happened, because he left. His injury happened, I believe, in April of 2023. I don't think he made it into May of that year. He obviously missed all of the rest of the remainder of 2023. He missed all of last season, during which he was sent out on rehab assignments, I believe twice. Each time he got a couple starts in, had a setback, had to shut it down. He was trying to pitch this fall. We thought he was ahead, as Chandler Rome. We thought he was ahead of Lance McCullers. Lance McCullers is already pitching in spring training games, whereas Luis was only at the bullpen phase. So he'd already fallen behind Lance McCullers at that point. And adding to that, he has now had a third setback where he tried to ramp it up, now has pain, elbow soreness, coming off of Tommy John in 2023, and timetable is very much up in the air. Like, I don't know what happened, but I'm not feeling like as optimistic as I'm starting to feel about Lance McCullers. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Luis Garcia doesn't even pitch for the Astros this year.
I feel like the Astros do this a lot. Like, they're very cryptic with their like how
they're
players
always
get
very
hurt
cryptic,
and healthy, and it's very frustrating. Yeah, this is another reason why this pitching rotation terrifies me. It's just
what,
nonstop injuries.
If I can jump in here, what
Please.
terrifies me? Yeah, thank you for the leeway, sir. I didn't want to be rude and just jump all over you there.
You.
Well, I don't know if that's physically possible. But like, I was a little worried because it feels like this team hasn't learned from past mistakes, where like we saw in previous years, especially last year, where they didn't resign 2023. They didn't resign Justin Verlander.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reasoning was like, well, we already have 7 starting pitchers. Like, what do we need to sign Justin Verlander for? Which is fine if you're assuming health. But as we've seen with pitchers in Major League Baseball, I think it's gotten even worse as guys are throwing harder and harder. Spin rates are going up. Starting pitchers just get hurt all the time. I mean, 2023 was the key example. They went into 2023 saying we don't need Justin Verlander because we have 7 starters. What happened right away? Luis Garcia, Tommy John. We had Jose Urquidy started having shoulder injuries. There was a third guy that went down also that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Last year, we thought we might get back Lance McCullers and Luis Garcia last year. They didn't, end up returning. Christian Javier, halfway through the season, had to have Tommy John. JP France, he was like a revelation in 2023, and then like sometime in May last year got shut down for the rest of the season. Pitchers do not last. We've seen it with the brightest stars in the league, like with Strider in Atlanta. I mean, one of the best pitchers in the league, Tommy John and missed all of last season. So I don't think, like they were saying that in past seasons, we don't need more pitching depth because we have 7. Well, we have 7, and 7 guys didn't hold up, and they've gone into this season until you get Lance or Luis back, which is obviously very, very up in the air, with like 4.5. Like you've got, I feel really good about Fromber, about Hunter, about Spencer Arrighetti, Ronel Blanco, maybe, and then Hayden Wisniewski is a complete unknown.
Yeah.
So, like, the most optimistic point of view you could have is like they have 5 major league guys. 7 hasn't held up the last 2 years in a row. And to your point, like I feel very uneasy about the starting rotation
I mean,
right now.
well, yeah, and it like I guess to compare, it's like, in football, you can never have enough depth at O line and D line because things
Yeah, 100%.
happen.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing.
I would say same with corner.
It's the same thing with like the Astros. It just like it astonishes me that they didn't go after a starting pitcher.
Yeah,
Like
I know
the fact that
they
are
just
rolling
got
with what they,
Wisniewski in the Kyle Tucker trade and just like,
yeah,
we're good. Like 5 when is 5 guys? And this is not a sponsorship for the burgers. When is 5 guys in modern Major League Baseball, let's just say the last 5 years, ever been enough to get through a season? It's not going to be enough.
no.
And now I know there's a few guys they like in the minor league system, including AJ Blueball, which is just a great name, by the way. But like, is that what we're talking about for a team that hopes to win another division title, hopes to make a playoff run? Like, you're instead of having like 7 guys and then going to the AAA farm, you're now like 4.5, and then going to guys that are even further down than those AAA. Like Spencer Arrighetti was the guy they went to last year that worked out, but the guys they have in the minor league system right now aren't rated as high as Spencer Arrighetti was last year. So I don't know if they have as much to fall back on as they did in previous years.
They do not.
And I'm forgetting the other guy's name, the guy that went to Toronto in the Yusei Kikuchi trade. There was a guy that Dana Brown drafted early on, but they had him as well. He got thrown into the rotation last year as well. You know what I'm talking about? It was a very young kid.
I know, but I can't. And that was another thing too. I can't believe they didn't bring Kikuchi back. Like,
yeah, he went to the Angels. Do you remember what Yusei got? We can look it up. There's a thing called Google, but I mean, look, we know what it comes down to though, right? It comes down to the competitive balance tax. Like that's what it always comes down to. And I get part of it because if they let's say they let Fromber walk, which I think is very likely at this point, if you're over the competitive balance tax, you get back a 4th round compensation pick. If you're under, then you get a 1st round compensation pick. So I would rather if you're faced with the facts that he's just going to leave, I'd rather do what you did with Kyle Tucker and trade him because you got Cam Smith for trading Kyle Tucker.
Yeah,
you can't
let Fromber walk. You have to.
But
get
they're going
something
to.
For him.
That's what's going to happen.
That's
like
crazy.
There was, we unfortunately ran long, and then I had to talk about GameStop. Priorities obviously, but let's see if I could pull this quote up. But there was a quote from Framber Valdez just a day or two ago where they asked him like, "Hey, have the Astros had any talks with you about a long-term contract coming back from beyond this season?" He said no, and he fully expects to be a free agent. Like all signs point to Framber Valdez will hit free agency. In your best case scenarios, you're getting back a 1st round compensation pick for him instead of Isaac Paredes and a decent 5th starter and potentially the best prospect you've had in 5+ years. I just look. There's a reason why the Rays have been able to sustain winning for so long, because when they have guys that are getting close to free agency that they know they can't re-sign, they trade them. Tyler Glasnow obviously went to the Dodgers, probably the most recent example. I mean, Isaac Paredes, even though he had like 3 years left of team control, they still shipped him off to the Cubs. All right, so we're a little bit over there on the Astros on the other side of the break. Let's get into the Houston Texans. They've made some moves on the offensive line, adding Trent Brown and Cam Robinson. The Danielle Hunter got even more money. Let's talk about that on the other side. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in, Houston, to ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Thank you for joining us on this glorious Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon now. The day has really flown by when you're yelling at GameStop employees every few hours. If you want to join in the conversation, Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, and John Belmer with you. Give us a call or text on the HRP listener line, 713-780-3776. We've obviously spent most of the show talking about the Astros. Obviously, quick mention for March Madness if you're not paying attention. Only one game going on right now. That's the way the Saturday games go once you get past the first round. McNeese State, their run is about to end. 33 seconds left. They are down 76-62 by to Purdue. So their run is about to end. Obviously, the Aggies will be up on the station in a few hours as they face the Michigan Wolverines. So that'll be a good game. And the Cougs, your Cougs, Cam, will be in action against Gonzaga. That is, I think, potentially the best game of the day. I don't know what your fear level is of Gonzaga, and we'll get into the Texans in a second, but Gonzaga was a team that I thought was severely underseeded. I mean, to be just an 8 seed, they were the 9th team in the nation, according to KenPom, and they were an 8 seed. That's a very tough draw.
It's really weird
as
seeing
an 8 seed.
Gonzaga with that.
They've been to the
that
Sweet
ranking.
16 9 years in a row.
Yeah, they're definitely better than a 9 seed.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they should
better.
probably be what, like a 5th or a 6th
At least.
Yeah, I mean,
they finished what, like 25 or 26-8. Like
the committee was weird this year. Memphis was the 5th seed, and they were the only team that was not they were the only higher seed not to be favored against a lower seed in the initial bracket, and we saw that come to fruition with Colorado State defeating them in the first round. But many people had predicted Memphis to be like a 7th or 8th seed. They end up with a 5th seed, and Gonzaga, a top 10 team in the nation, according to KenPom, ends up as an 8th seed. So it was kind of wacky this year.
I feel like Memphis hasn't been good since like the Derrick Rose.
Yeah, they've
been good. They just haven't done anything.
Year, but not obviously not as good as the Derrick Rose years. They got to the national championship game and lost in overtime to Kansas that year. But anyway, let's talk about the Texans, who have taken an offensive line that was had a lot of question marks on it and added more question marks to it. I don't know if they fixed anything, and that would be kind of the point of the question and conversation here. I don't think they've necessarily fixed anything. They just added more question marks to the group of their current question marks by adding Cam Robinson, former Jaguars and Vikings offensive lineman, offensive tackle, on a pretty significant deal. It's only 1 year, but it's like $12 million. So it's not a cheap deal. And then they also yesterday added former Patriots offensive tackle Trent Brown on a 1 year, $3 million deal. So now you're looking at, after the trade of Tunsil, you're looking at Cam Robinson, Trent Brown, Blake Fisher, who you drafted in the 2nd round last year, and then obviously Titus Howard, who you drafted as a tackle, has played right tackle, but spent like half the season last year at left guard and has other stints at left guard. You're looking at 4 offensive tackles to try to figure out, how these all fit. Like, I don't even know. I mean, you have a preference. Like, if they went into the season with what they have now, and I still think they draft an offensive lineman, maybe not 1st round, but they still draft an offensive lineman early. Let's say 2nd round for the point of conversation. I mean, what would you even make the offensive line, like, starting lineup be at this point? Like, is Titus, with 4 tackles, is Titus definitely a left guard now because you have so many options at tackle?
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think Cam Robinson is going to start opposite Blake Fisher. I think that they're going to move Howard back to guard. I think they're going to draft probably an offensive tackle in the 1st round to replace Robinson and Brown after next year. I think that's exactly.
You don't draft guard? Because you still got a hole there.
You can draft guard, but
unless you,
there's not a guard worth drafting in the first 2 rounds.
Oh, there's the guy I'll have to pull up the names. And
there's
maybe
Wyatt,
just shout down the hall.
Wyatt Milam.
What's the kid from Alabama? I'm blanking on the name right now.
Booker.
Booker. He's
and that's the thing too. There's linemen that are technically listed as tackles, and a lot of like the write-ups on them say that, they could play tackle, but they're probably better suited at guard. Like the dude from is it South Dakota State, Greg Zabel?
Yeah.
Like, he is technically a tackle, but, like, he's one of those guys where they're like, "Oh, he might be best fitted at, like, a guard position,"
Right.
which is fine. I mean, the Texans definitely need an upgrade at guard. But, back to your previous question, I definitely think that Cam Robinson and Fisher are gonna start the season at tackle, and Howard is gonna be inside at a guard position.
Yeah, and then you have to figure out the other, obviously center and right guard. But I think what you're probably looking at, and I think I'm in complete agreement, is Cam Robinson at left tackle, Blake Fisher at right tackle, Titus, as you said, moves back to left guard, and then you figure it out with center and right guard between Laken Tomlinson. Laken Tomlinson is probably your right guard as of now, unless you draft a guard in the first or second round, and then you're letting Juice and Jarrett Patterson fight it out at
Yeah.
center. But I do think there are some guys that profile as guys that could go in the first or second round at guard that could come in and take. We mentioned Booker. I was trying to pull up, see how quickly I could pull it up, but Lance Zierlein's draft profile on Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama, and he does have him graded out to be a plus starter in the league. With looks like and my audio is on. That is very amateurish. That was fun there.
Rookie move.
That was a rookie move.
You're
Yeah,
fired.
I remember my first show.
good. But I like it. Does a bit feel like, even though they've added seemingly, every tackle, every formerly good offensive tackle who's now slipped a little bit, that they're like going through Daryl Morey's towards the end of his run, where he started adding a bunch of like first round picks who like used to be or were thought to be good and then busted out. Now he's having Cam Robinson, who's he added Trent Brown, who's and you're adding it to a group of already a bunch of question marks and trying to see if Nick Haley and Cole Popovich can kind of mix and match and find a solution. Because you look at some of these, I'm curious what you think of these. But because remember we had this conversation last week when they added Laken Tomlinson and Ed Ingram, and I made the comment they just added Kenyon Greens in different jerseys, because Kenyon Green graded out, I believe it was third worst in one-on-one pressure rate allowed by guards, and Ingram was first, and I believe Tomlinson was fourth. So they're all three were bottom five. So you added two names, but it, at least on paper, didn't get any better. You look at some of the write-ups here on Cam Robinson. So this one was from Brandon Thorne, owner of Trench Warfare, a newsletter. He works for Bleacher Report and established a run. His write-up on Cam Robinson. Robinson is coming off back-to-back 17 start seasons for the Jaguars and Vikings. His steady, stagnated skill set is rooted in being a physically imposing, power-oriented player who delivers body blows to defenders with erratic technique that leads to clean, decisive losses several times or more a game, depending on the matchup. Robinson is teetering on the line of tier 4 and 5, but his blend of experience, durability, and age separate him from the rest of the pack listed below. So not a great write-up. The line where he is out of his technique is erratic, leading to quick losses. is not a promising write up. And then I follow that up with a write up from Nate Tice, who works for Yahoo and NFL Network. Cam Robinson allowed the highest one-on-one pressure rate among all offensive tackles last year once he became the starter in Minnesota. 17% from week 9 onwards, compared to the league average of 9.8%. The league average on pressures allowed 9.8%. Cam Robinson, when he was a starter week 9 on for Minnesota, 17%.
Yeah.
And you add to that what we talked about last week with Ed Ingram and Laken Tomlinson's like they're adding guys, but is it really improving? Or are you just adding more question marks that we're going to be talking about all season long?
I don't know. I'm not going to say improve, but I'm not going to say question mark. I think it's just all about depth. And
I think I certainly think Trent Brown is depth. I think he's your swing tackle.
Oh,
I don't think there's any scenario where he's actually starting. He's just becoming a backup at this point. But Cam Robinson, I mean, you gave him like $12.5, $13 million. I know it's 1 year, but that contract says he is starting.
Oh, you're paying.
And
you're paying
like
Cam
the advanced
to
metrics
start.
on him are not looking very good.
Well, and the thing too is like with Cam, he has like a relatively good like pass blocking grade.
Yeah, Pro Football Focus had him as middle of the pack, but
He's 49th out of 141.
Yeah, so middle of the pack, but it's like if you were told me like I'll give you 49th, I would take that, because I mean off of what we dealt with in this last year, I will take middle of the pack steady from replacing some of the guys we had last year.
Oh, absolutely. And again, like Brown and Robinson are like I don't see them coming back next year. Like this is just like a gap
Sure.
filler. You draft
Well, then
somebody,
you
and
got
then
to draft somebody.
that's
Then,
your future. But
well,
I
your
mean,
future will probably. I mean, at least a tackle would be. I think it's. I think that would still be Titus. Well, I don't see. I don't even know with Titus. Like I guess like if you're saying Cam Robinson's a 1-year player, then are we just moving Titus back to left tackle next year and Blake Fisher is your right tackle, or maybe Titus goes to right tackle and Blake Fisher moves to left tackle? I mean, there's so many moving chairs at this point. It's hard to keep things straight.
I think
Because if they draft the offensive lineman high, I don't think it's going to be tackle. You got 4 of them on the roster.
you now, but going into next year, if you're not going to bring back Brown and Robinson, you're obviously going to have a need at tackle. I think that moving forward, Howard is going to stay at guard. I think they're going to draft somebody that can play tackle, and it's going to be Fisher, Howard, and whoever they draft is like your 3 guys going
So
into.
you'd spend okay. So if Cam Robinson and Blake Fisher are your starting tackles, Titus Howard's your left guard, and you already have Trent Brown as a swing tackle, you'd still spend like a first or second round pick on a tackle that wouldn't have anywhere to play this year. Like I'd be with you if you could tell me that tackle. Let's say you drafted a tackle in the first round. Let's for the sake of conversation, it's Kelvin Banks from Texas. Now he profiles as someone that can also move inside to guard. Like I'd be okay with it in that situation. But like, I mean, Blake Fisher doesn't profile someone
No.
that can move inside. Like I wouldn't want to draft a Blake Fisher type if whoever you draft can only play tackle and you already have 4 tackles on your lineup. I know it's a pick made for the future, but you need help at guard now. I wouldn't be okay with that.
Well, and that's the thing. There's like back to what we were talking about. There's so many guys listed as tackles, but their draft grade says that they could be an above average starter at guard. So like that's why it's hard for me to be like Kelvin Banks, like you just said, Kelvin Banks, he can do tackle, he can do guard. Greg Zabel can do tackle, he can do guard. Like Tyler, well, is Booker just straight guard?
He's listed as a guard. I would trust Lance's opinion that I don't know. I've only seen him written up as a guard.
Yeah, I don't.
Which I think you and I differ on this, but I'd be fine with that because I don't want Lincoln Tomlinson starting at right guard.
No,
I don't want him starting at right. Like if I think I can like I have some doubt on Cam Robinson based upon these advanced metrics. The pressure rate is not good. From now, people will point to. I wish I had the number right in front of me, but when Cam Robinson faced the Texans last year as a Jaguars left tackle, and obviously that's top competition. He was going against Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, and Derek Barnett and Jerry Hughes, a lot of talented, experienced pass rushers. He didn't give up a single pressure that day. So I mean, you could make the argument maybe that was more Minnesota, because certainly Sam Darnold was holding on the ball. I've seen some Vikings fans say that their offensive line, including Cam Robinson, wasn't as bad as people thought it was because there's more on Sam Darnold holding the ball. So maybe these pressure rates are telling an incomplete story because that pressure is more related to the faults and mistakes of Sam Darnold. I'd be willing to say, okay, I'll take the risk with Cam Robinson. Titus Howard left guard, that's good. I'm fine with Blake Fisher right tackle. I just don't want Lincoln Tomlinson at right guard. That's the main sticking point, and why I hope they draft a guy like Booker or another guard. I mean, or Kelvin Banks, someone who could play guard and move to tackle. I just want another option at right guard before they go into the season. That's my main thing.
They could also just wait until like the 3rd round and just draft Tate Ratledge, who's a guard.
Yeah, I just would have questions. I mean, less so at guard because you see guards drafted in the middle rounds come in and make an impact. I mean, tackles are less so. Like, you don't really see a lot of high-level tackles that are drafted like 3rd round or later.
Yeah.
Tackles the position where, like, you got to get them early.
Premium. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get them early. But at guard, I guess that'd be my concern would be if you're getting a guy in the 3rd round, because I want someone that could come in and play now if Lincoln Tomlinson's terrible. So that would be my concern. If the longer and longer you wait, the less and less likely it is that he'd be able to contribute this year. But at guard, that becomes less of an issue. All right, we got to get out. Other side of the break, it is time for the award-winning, groundbreaking, sports radio landscape-changing segment, Mount Rushmore Plus One. Don't go anywhere. Welcome in, Houston, to the best part of your weekend. It is time for Mount Rushmore Plus One, the groundbreaking, award-winning segment that'll one day get the three of us, plus Sean Mapes, in the Texas Radio Hall of Fame.
Lazy.
Far less than 27 years. That is my promise to you, the listener. Far less than 27 years. Will I define that with exact year? Of course not. That would be ridiculous. But far less, I tell you, it'll take than 27 years. All right. It is time for our Mount Rushmore Plus One. Again, programming note, Sean Mapes will return next week. We will be on the air. As long as the Aggies don't provide a conflict for us, which I don't know. I mean, they would have to win 2 more games, so we'll see for that to be, because they'd have to win today against Michigan and then win their Sweet 16 games for that to be a possible conflict. And I don't know how the Elite 8 schedule would work out. Anyway, we'll probably have a show next week. John Belmer, your Mount Rushmore Plus One, sir.
I get the honor of going first, huh?
You get the honor, sir.
Okay. All right.
You're welcome. You should have led with a thank you.
You are welcome.
No, thank you, Cam. I can't say thank you to BMAC.
Wow, it's just plain rude. Plain rude.
Well, yeah.
I feel like I'm
Anyways,
talking to a GameStop employee with this rudeness.
I could never be a GameStop employee. I wouldn't know what I was talking about. Anyways,
Neither do they.
that's true. Okay. So Conor McGregor was in the news the last couple of days. Apparently, I thought this was interesting. He's going to be running to become the Irish president, supposedly. And
Why not?
I could just imagine absolute chaos. And
Every time he sees like a foreign dignitary, he just like, who the is that guy?
Exactly. He's like hitting him with shoulder punches, whatever it's called. Anyways, so what I did was I started thinking. This inspired my thoughts here to go through either current or former American athletes that I feel like would cause the same kind of chaos if they were the president of the United States.
One man jumps to mind immediately. I'm interested to see if he'll be on the list, but go ahead.
It might very well be, because there's one person jumped to my mind immediately too.
Okay.
Number one is a former athlete, but I just a little bit electric, a little bit chaos, a little bit wild. Pat McAfee.
Oh yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun.
That would be fun. The speeches would be fantastic. Number two, I went a little different here because I wanted to have a female representative in this.
How inclusive of you.
So I went with Angel Reese.
That'd be
at number 4.
That'd be interesting.
She's controversial as hell. She would just.
You
make
don't
it wild.
say.
She is. Hopefully, she doesn't have to face other dignitaries in a layup contest. We might be losing. We might be losing in that. But yeah, that would cause some issues.
Oh yeah, that would. Number 3, I went with Kyrie Irving.
Oh, that would be bad. Yeah, that'd be real bad.
He's gone down his political, things before.
Yeah,
I think that would be.
And he also thinks the Earth is flat.
More or less chaotic than bad. I don't know how well or bad he'd actually do.
I think it'd be bad.
But it'd just be chaotic. You think it'd be bad?
I think it'd be bad.
I think this next one would be bad. Actually, really bad too. Number 2 on my list here. Jameis Winston.
I think that'd be
Hell
fun.
no, national
I think that
treasure.
would be
Sign me
fun.
up, bro.
Sign me up. Yeah,
Chaos.
Cam and
What
I
are
are
you talking about?
Sign me up.
For
I would
would
vote for
early
Jameis Winston for president tomorrow.
I would early vote his ass
I would
in.
early vote.
Hell yeah.
I would stand in line to vote for
this
Jameis
is
Winston.
not what I expected as a reaction for Jameis
I
Winston.
love Jameis. Now,
I mean,
outside of the cab incident,
Jameis is for the people.
what is he going to be sitting there talking to himself, doing voices at the in the
yeah,
Oval
we played that
Office?
clip
Like,
when he's at the Super Bowl. How can you not love the man?
Yeah.
I mean, I
National
love him,
treasure.
but okay. Number 1, this is the man that immediately came to my mind.
Okay.
He's been on fire lately on Twitter for some reason. Antonio Brown.
Oh, that wasn't the man I was thinking of, but you're dead on. That would be, of all the 5 people
Chaos.
you listed, that would be the most
Absolutely.
chaotic.
Absolutely.
What was the guy that came to your mind immediately?
Meta World Peace, otherwise known as Ron Artest.
Okay, that's a good one.
I mean, he's running up into the crowd punching people when the wrong people, when someone else threw beer on him. I think his name is Meta World Peace, so maybe he actually be good now. The branding, at least the branding is good. I don't know if the presidential reign would be good, but the branding is good. Anyone you want to throw on that list? That Dennis Rodman also came to mind.
Damn it! I was just gonna say
you
Dennis
took his
Rodman.
thunder.
Dennis Rodman would be chaotic. He would
That
be
was
a
what I
little
was
chaotic.
thinking of.
He would be a little chaotic. Anyone else you want to throw on there, Cam?
Nah, that's enough chaotic.
We didn't get a baseball player, and I was trying to think of a base. The only one I could think of was Yasiel Puig, but he's not really an American, baseball baseball player. So
yeah, he wouldn't be eligible to run. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a baseball player that would be. Trevor Bauer. That would be that would be a problem. That'd be a problem.
That would.
What is your Mount Rushmore +1 this week, Cam?
Well, mine is based off of having a conversation with a friend the other day about Chili's triple dipper.
I had Chili's. But my wife and I are rewatching The Office, and so we're like, you know what? Let's order some Chili's.
I know. I need to.
You know what we ordered?
Triple dipper. Yeah. So
absolutely.
mine is like my own custom like appetizer platter. So to start off, Southwest egg rolls.
Boom. Yes,
absolutely have to have
we
them.
ordered some Southwest.
I actually had Southwest egg rolls last night.
That got B-Mag excited.
I love South. If you're ever in the Kingwood area, this is not Chili's, but they're good as well. There's a place there called 3B's Grill. If you live in the Kingwood-Humble area, you're probably familiar with it. But elite Southwest egg rolls. I highly recommend.
I'll have to check it out. No, I got mine from Christian's Tailgate last night.
Oh,
so
yeah. Very good.
They're pretty good.
Very good.
Next, fried pickles. I love fried pickles.
I didn't think I would like those because I don't actually really like I never, if I get a burger, which I had earlier today, I never put pickles on it. But fried pickles, I don't know. I kind of like it. I mean, I know what the answer is. They deep fried the son of B, but
yep.
But yeah, I didn't think when someone said just try it, you'll like it. I wasn't expecting to because I don't like pickles normally, but fried pickles were fine.
Well, and I like the ones that come like in a mesh. So like some places will have fried pickles and like fried jalapenos.
I love the fried jalapeno, like the little strips of fried jalapeno. Yeah. I love those. Yeah.
Quesadillas.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The crazy thing is I would never order like quesadilla as like an entree.
Really?
But I love having them as like an appetizer.
Oh, I would definitely order it as an entree. But
wings, I know it's very rare to find places that have wings on the appetizer.
Traditional or boneless?
Traditional.
Thank you. All right.
I can do boneless.
Boneless wings are not wings. They're nuggets.
Yes, they are.
They're no, John. They're not. They don't.
We don't have time for this argument.
I can do boneless if it's a lot of them, but usually on the appetizer platter, you're getting like maybe 3 or 4 wings. So like I'm gonna have to go to the traditional route for that one. And then the last one, fried mushrooms.
I don't mind them. I don't think it would make my top 5, but I don't mind them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any exclusions there, Johnny, that stood out to you?
I'm not a big mushroom guy. I definitely wouldn't do that one.
Okay. All right. So my Mount Rushmore +1 this time of year, especially during March Madness. The inspiration of this was hearing Dell and Sean talk about all the Christian schools that are in the March Madness, like which teams might have God on their side, that sort of thing. You always see teams and athletes after the game, thank God. We always see CJ Stroud, always thank God for his performance because God is on their side, right?
What's the team that had Sister
Jean? That was
Sister Jean, yeah.
Chicago
Loyola, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of players, they're talking God is on their side. They helped them to victory. My Mount Rushmore +1 is of teams that clearly do not have God on their side. God has abandoned the following teams. First one, it's the Buffalo Bills. I mean, 4 straight Super Bowls during the Jim Kelly era. Mm-hmm. They lose all 4 of those, and a couple of those they lost badly. They lose one with a missed field goal at the end. Wide right will always live on. In Buffalo, the Cowboys obviously kicked their ass twice. And you finally get back to a place where, all right, Jim Kelly didn't come through in his 4 Super Bowls. We got a quarterback again with Josh Allen. And God was like, yeah, but he's going to play during the prime of Patrick Mahomes. So good luck.
It's a cold day in hell.
It is. Yeah, you got a quarterback. It don't matter because he has to play in Patrick Mahomes' era. Yep. So you still suck. So Bills, yeah, God hates the Bills. Next one, all of Canada. You know the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup?
It's been a while.
You want to take a guess, Cam? What year it was?
1984.
It was more recent than that. It was the 1992-1993 season. Before the Rockets won their first title. Canada has not won a Stanley Cup since Akeem Olajuwon became an NBA champion.
That's crazy. That's supposed to be their sport, too.
It has been that long. Next one on my Mount Rushmore +1 of teams that clearly don't have God on their side. The entire city of Cleveland, other than those 2 times with LeBron James. Or actually that one time with LeBron James. They only got one time. He was there for 6-7 years the first go around, 4 years the first time. They got one title, And we know what's happened with the Browns. I mean, they gave Deshaun Watson $250 million. Clearly, God hates you. He put Tim Couch on your team as well. God hates you.
I
And
think
he
God
also
hates the city of Cleveland.
I think he
in
just hates
general.
Cleveland in
Yeah.
general. And what's happened with the Guardians? I mean, remember 1997, they had a chance with the Game 7. The Marlins beat them in 1997. They get back to the World Series in 2016. We're up 3-1, and the Cubs, who we thought were cursed, had been cursed for a century, came back from 3-1 down and beat Cleveland to take that World Series. God hates you, Cleveland. Last two on my list of teams that God hates. Mount St. Mary's, which was a Christian school in the tournament, but he hates you so much. Okay, you cool. You made the tournament. You got to go against Duke. And they got beat 93-49. So
that was bad.
I think, unfortunately for Mount St. Mary's, God loves Cooper Flag
He
and
took a
Duke
day off.
even more. Yeah, he took a day off. He gave his support to Cooper Flag. He healed his ankle so he could come and beat Mount St. Mary's 93-49. And my final,
At least they made it.
yeah, participation reward. Here you go.
Oh.
Final team that God clearly hates, and this is ironic because of the team name, but is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They have not won a playoff series in a long time. In fact, Mike Trout, the greatest player of this generation, I mean, other than Shohei Ohtani, who also was on the Angels for a long time, the Angels have not only not won a playoff series with Mike Trout, they haven't won a single playoff game with Mike Trout. They made the playoffs one time in Mike Trout's career, which also overlapped with Shohei Ohtani's career. They got swept in that only series.
So much for Angels in the outfield, am I right?
God hates you. Sorry, Angels. God hates you.
I'll never understand why he didn't force his way off that team.
He's
Money.
a team player.
Money. Well, money.
Yeah.
Money.
No.
He got paid like $400 million. And that'll do it for Mount Rushmore +1 this week. On the other side of the break, we're going to have some fun. Like usually we do our best and our worst. We'll kind of do that, but we got to talk about Scotty Scheffler's Master Dinners, which is just a chef's kiss of a masterclass on what he
Seriously.
chose for that menu. We'll talk about that on the other side of the break. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5 is the Bullpen. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer with you. And we will be back on next week. Quick programming note, as long as the Aggies don't have an Elite 8 game that conflicts with our airtime. And speaking of the Aggies, they will be on the air today as they take on Michigan in the round of 32 of March Madness. The game starts at 4:15 pregame. John, do we know what time it starts? Is it 3:30? It's probably about 3:30. Anyway, tip-off is around 4:15, depending on how things shake out in front of them. But don't miss the Aggies' action as they take on Michigan in the round of 32 as a part of March Madness. All right. Normally here we do what we love from sports this week in the worst people in sports this week, but I think we all share a love here for this menu put out, the Masters dinner that Scotty Scheffler chose, which will happen on April 8th, his Masters winner dinner. As the previous, if you're not aware, whoever wins the Masters, there's like a big dinner before the tournament, and whoever won the previous year gets to pick the menu for that dinner for the following year. And Scotty Scheffler, I mean, chef's kiss, just laid an absolute masterclass out here for this menu. I'll quickly run through it. For appetizers, he's got cheeseburger sliders, and it says serve Scotty style, which I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
But who cares? They're cheeseburger sliders. Along with that, he has firecracker shrimp, amazing. And Papa Schleff's meatball and ravioli bites. I mean, of course. I mean, meatball and ravioli, you got me there. His first course is, and I think this is the key note here, Texas style chili, which means it's served properly with no beans. Also has cheddar cheese, jalapenos, and corn chips, which Fritos.
Definitely
so basically it's Frito pie, which is amazing.
Which is weird that it's a first course.
Yeah,
I would definitely think appetizer for that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever.
Whatever.
As long as I'm getting to
I'm
eat
eating
it,
all of it.
I don't care. His first course, you have a choice of a wood-fired cowboy ribeye or a black and red fish. I mean, I'd prefer both, but I mean, I'll probably go ribeye there. And that's served with family-style mac and cheese, jalapeno cream corn, soy glazed Brussels sprouts, and chipotle lime roasted sweet potatoes. I mean, I might not eat the Brussels sprouts, but everything else is home run
That's
after
a lot
home
of
run.
food.
It is a lot of food. And the dessert, even finished it off well. I probably would have gone banana pudding. Like if we're saying like what we would have done differently, mine probably would have been banana pudding, but he goes with a warm chocolate chip skillet cookie with vanilla bean ice cream on top, which is probably would have been my second choice. So I'm not really knocking. I probably would have preferred to have banana pudding, but I usually look at these menus. I'm like, half of it's okay. But I mean, this is just banger after banger after banger. Any comments on here on this menu from Scotty Scheffler?
Amazing. I told you off air I whipped this thing up. Like
God.
I would. It's making me hungry.
I'm so hungry right now.
Yeah, my
I'm
stomach is churning.
I mean, I even stopped by Burger Chan on the way in. I mean, and their burgers they're amazing. But I mean, after eating this, I'm like, man, I need to go home, and I don't know if I could. I mean, I couldn't make half this food. You might be able to as the chef among us here. But
I've made firecracker shrimp before. I mean, you can make sliders.
Oh,
Anybody
yeah, I can make sliders, and I can make
and chili.
Yeah, I can make chili. I mean, I could cook up a steak. I don't know if it'll be cooked up the same way they did, but
the meatball and ravioli bites. That's probably where that's a little out of my.
Yeah, well, especially the ravioli. I don't know how to make fresh pasta. I mean, I know in theory how to make it, but I couldn't execute it.
Yeah. Well, I mean. Yeah,
like I know what like goes into the dough. I know you got to roll it out and the whole thing, and then put it through the sheeter. I know the steps, but like it's just I don't think I could execute it. Johnny, any changes to this menu you would make, or what are your overall impression of Scotty Scheffler's dinner?
I thought it was great too, but I think I would probably not do the Brussels sprouts, and I think
that was my only
And I like a skillet cookie, but I think I would have done a brownie there at the end with the ice cream instead. But other than that, I mean, I would like to try all of the things on that paper.
Yeah, I think I might have changed out the Brussels sprouts for like some roasted carrots. I love some good roasted carrots and maybe banana pudding instead of the skillet cookie. But I don't know. I'm nitpicking because overall this menu is great. But that'll do it for the Bullpen. Thank you for joining us here today on ESPN Radio 97.5 for 92.5 and 92.5. For Cam Smith, for John Belmer, I'm Brian McDonald. We'll be back next week. Aggies basketball coming up at 4:15. Have a great weekend, Houston.